would say it can be used in term that it actually helps to open channels and collaterals, and also softens the body, and then also helps to treat degenerative of the digestion, gastritis and things. Okay, so it can help with that part. However, with regards to the diarrhea 5 minutes after eating, again, one thing is that what we are seeing the diarrhea to be like, most likely it will be like soft or even watery and loose. Okay, so what we are trying to do is overall strengthening of the digestive tract. Okay, so it can be part of the formula. Actually, for 木瓜, we have it in the formula called 食皮饮. Okay, so that has 白术, 茯苓, 甘草, and also a bunch of other ones that has like the 厚朴, 大腹皮, 豆蔻, 木香, 木瓜, 附子, 黑姜. So it has warming in there. It also has qi regulating one in there. Okay, so it actually prevents, because of the deficiency, it may also have more, let's say like gas or bloating and things like that. So it's good as a part of a formula. Okay. And then, however, I would say probably not on its own as a single usage. Okay, does that sort of help the idea? Yeah. So yeah, 5 minutes after eating, I think there's usually more cold and deficiency that is there. Okay, so cancer in the reproductive area. Then they removed that, but discovered that parts of the intestines had fused together. So they removed parts of that too. Oh, so yes. So for a lot of these patients, usually for the intestines fusing together, we are looking at things like, let's say, what's it called? Ulcerative colitis, or for example, the Crohn's disease. That is usually when we are speaking of the intestines fusing together. I think one of the main thing here is that is it so I'm just purely guessing from a pattern that we see often. This may happen quite often with patients who are naturally more careful, thoughtful, therefore having more qi stagnation. And then that qi stagnation has led to basically qi stagnation, phlegm retention, and also blood stasis. Okay, any of those tends to actually create tumor and therefore masses and cancer in the body. Okay, and then so that often may also be leading to autoimmune conditions and also basically chronic digestive issues. Is the intestines fusing together a result? Basically, is that a result from medication that was taken? So because again, further usage of chemo very likely will cause more pain in the body, poor digestion, more weakness, and more tension, and also throwing off the immune system even further, because it was actually inhibited and also brought stronger, and also with the lowered red blood cells and also white blood cells. Okay, so because of all that, I think that is an issue that is taking place. So for this particular patient, usage of the 木瓜 for actually calming the smooth muscles in the body will be helpful. Okay, so that would be actually one thing. And then so maybe not for the diarrhea directly, but also this helps to prevent that seizing up of the digestive tract. Okay, so so basically in her, we will also want to add again the spleen strengthening and also a little bit of warming and effects into there. Okay, so that would be what I'm looking at in terms of why it would fuse together, and also what kind of syndrome differentiation. So again, rather than thinking it's the cancer or the chemo causing it, we're just looking at how the body is in the state of at the time. Okay, so yes, in that case, 木瓜 will be a helpful one. By all means, if the patient actually had 木瓜 earlier on or things like that, it may have been able to relieve some of the original issue. Okay, so how often do I find I use pre-existing formulas? I do use the pre-existing classic formulas as often as I can. Okay, there's so much wisdom and then also in the choices of the one. Sometimes you look at the similar treatment principle and you're thinking, why don't we use other herbs? But when you really start using it, and when you actually start researching it and you look at more modern research, you find reasons why a particular one for that same treatment principle is chosen from based on Western sciences. Okay, so I also try to use the pre-existing formulas because that can test against your treatment principle and syndrome differentiation. When we add too many things and modifications into there, it's a lot harder to see what is doing what. Okay, so I do appreciate using it. However, a lot of times, so for students, I would actually be recommending between 1 to 2 classic formulas, and then I will recommend a few modifications to add or take away from there. However, for my own prescriptions, I do use a lot more additions. Okay, so I do fine tune it to the patients because they do have a few different expectations that can also be met at the same time. But when we do encounter conditions where it's just textbook, single classic formula, they work so well and so beautifully. Okay, so I know some practitioners, the stronger they get, the more simplified their formulas become. Okay, and then it may actually become, again, prescribing by single herbs, but that's because they have the full ideas of the classic formulas, and then they have deconstructed and then preserved its key essence in there. Okay, so I for my own patients, I almost always add on additional modifications. Okay, but that's also another thing because patients doesn't understand how syndrome differentiations and then also how patterns improve with a proper amount of time. Okay, so I have to say that I am accommodating the patients in clinic settings and also strengthening their compliance. So I do particularly add in some additional modifications just so that ensuring that sometimes their chief complaint takes a bit of time, but some of the other symptoms will improve faster and sooner. Okay, so that's more of my idea. Okay, so I do make modifications quite often. Okay, however, I am always thinking in terms of classic formulas. Yeah. Yeah, but absolutely. I would say, especially for students, my personal recommendation is to think in terms of syndrome differentiation and formula pattern, and then try to branch off from there. Okay, I have to say that in my opinion, that's a way to actually train yourself even better. Okay. Yeah, so so working in a hospital, I think the high stress and then also the times where she sacrificed her own health, taking care of other people, probably led to the higher potential and also what make her more prone to a lot of these conditions. And these probably are also conditions when basically with discussing with her treatment and also understanding all the benefits of things fully, why she probably wasn't able to stick to a lot of the things. And then these patients a lot of times have various reasonings on why or how or they know what's better or worse, but why they weren't able to make the decisions. These are all the things related to quite often cheese stagnation and also liver and then a little bit of hypochondriac and things like that. Again, but these are all parts of this whole person, different parts of their personalities that actually makes them who they are. Okay, so finding a way of helping them to make smarter choices and changes is where a big part of what we do. It's not just telling them that you take this, you make it better. If you don't, it's on you, right? But helping them to make that decision. Fusing from the cancer treatment. Okay, so that may also be I think we'll have to look at what medication were taken for that. Okay, of course, if there is something alternative, and then also the for prolonged period of time, then sorry, not doesn't have to be prolonged period of time. Basically, if there was basically let's say peritonitis and things like that, that can also cause the fusing. Okay, so and then but I would say I'll be surprised on if knowingly chemo or medication were given that was known to actually lead to fusing of the intestines and it was still prescribed. So probably there's a bit more to ask about it. Okay, so radiation can cause scarring and adhesions, which could cause the tissue fusion. Oh, thank you so much, Anya. So yes, so what's radiation therapy used? And then was that, and then how long ago was this? Because more of the modern ones would be more targeted at areas. If it were done earlier ones or things, that might actually be more like that. And of course, which kinds and which types. Okay, so and yeah, thank you so much for adding it into the idea. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so definitely the yes, actually so feel free because everybody have different backgrounds, and also the things that we are more, I guess, experienced or trained in, and also what we are actually following more up to date with. These are all the really great things. I think Chinese medicine, again, for the classic formulas. For the classic formulas, all of you will get to the place where, at least for some formulas, certain ones I use more often, you will definitely get to know it quite well. And then you, a lot of practitioners may actually base a majority of their formulas on the 小柴胡汤 because they know it so well, not because that's the only thing they can use. Okay, so that treats so many different things. 小柴胡汤 treats everything from head to toe. It's actually very unique as well. And then yeah, so absolutely, at least for some formulas, you'll get to the place, and as long as you continue to be curious and also try to become better at what we do, you will really form your ideas and usages and approach and everything. Okay, I think that's the thing about Chinese medicine. There's not one absolute better or best way. Okay, and then it all comes down to how you can help your patients, assist them on achieving it. Okay, so the while we do basically respect and also follow a lot of the classic formulas and treatments and things, it's because that those have gone through hundreds and thousands of years of clinical trials. Sometimes we just haven't gotten the right idea or the ability to measure or to test or an instrument to measure them. Okay, so but there is a lot of wisdom in there that basically has gone through the clinical trial part before the lab test part. Okay, so that's why we do follow it. However, it can definitely be integrated, and then we can continue to add more into them. Okay, so also, yeah, for radiation, basically we have a lot of our especially our heat clearing, detoxifying, and also indeficiency heat clearing ones, and also in nourishing, blood nourishing herbs. Many of them actually protects the cells. Same thing for our kidney liver tonics. Okay, so these are a wide variety of things that, again, Chinese medicine is not directly targeting just a pathogen, but rather it's about regulating how the body is responding. Okay, so from that aspect, actually, there is much that we can do, and also there's a lot of I guess potential as well as less variables because the humans the bodies, the cells, have been following mostly similar set of rules on how it can function. Okay, so the cells being open channels collateral. So for the upper extremities, this works extremely well. Promotes diuresis and reduces swelling. So for edema and dysuria involving painful limbs, this is more of a mild function. Okay, so 10 to 30 grams. Unprocessed sangzhi has a slow and moderate overall action. Frying with grain-based liqueur will enhance its effect to dispel wind and dampness, open channels and collaterals, and also relieve pain. So sangzhi, guizhi, both of these zhi branches treats, again, your branches if you are sort of seeing you as a plant or a tree and then expanding out. Okay, so guizhi is more warming, and then for more deficiencies. Okay, sangzhi, it's a little more clearing, whereas the niuxi and muguo are used for the lower body parts. I use the niuxi for the lower back, knee, foot, muguo for particularly the gastrocnemius in the muscles. So these are really good ones. That it's very unique that actually these channel guiding and things, they tend to just work. Okay, so it's very interesting to use them. Okay, instead of using like higher and higher dosage of a systemic one, and then actually causing stress on the body. So we also have our wind damp dispelling and also tendon and bone strengthening herbs. These herbs enter the liver and kidney channels to tonify the tendons and bones. They are most effective for treating chronic cases of 痹症, pain syndrome, characterized by weakness, deficiencies, and atrophy of the soft tissues. So our first one is 桑寄生. So it's bitter and neutral. Channel center is the liver and kidney. So the interesting thing about this one is that, so originally they were looking at it that they were recognizing this particular plant called Taxilus chinensis, and this is parasitic. So sang means mulberry, but jisheng means parasitic. So this is a parasitic plant that is parasitic in a symbiotic relationship with the mulberry. Okay, so so at first they were just using all the Taxilus chinensis, but they realized that it actually lives on a wide variety of other plants. There's also one called Curiaria. That one actually contains a wide variety of toxins. And then so when this is actually grown on them, it picks up the toxins, and then actually they become toxic. Okay, there are also certain I think butterflies and other plants that actively eats plants that are toxic and picks up their toxins from them. Okay, so of course, this doesn't purposely do that particularly, but that is an issue. But and then so we were looking at everything that were actually being parasitic on the mulberry. However, also there were other plants that were toxic and that actually lives on mulberry. So now mostly we're just using the Taxilus growing on mulberry. Okay, so this is where we are now. Okay, so liver and kidney. Tonifies the liver and kidney, strengthens sinews and bones, dispels wind dampness. So for insufficiency in the liver and also in the kidney, which respectively governs the tendons and bones, will lead to a chronic 痹症 with accumulation of wind dampness. Okay, so this is where we use it in the 独活寄生汤 or the 天马钩藤饮. Okay, it's very commonly used. I like using it a lot, and it has a specialty of helping to calm the fetus. So restless fetus associated with yin and blood deficiencies. Okay, so this is a unique one. Usually when we're talking about liver and kidney for more deficiencies, not so much of the blood, we're using 杜仲. Some of you may have heard about it. It is a black herb. 杜仲 is what is used quite often, and then it's more expensive. Okay, so 桑寄生 is a good sort of substitution. Yeah. 少阳 headache caused by chronic neck and shoulder stiffness. I would say that 桑寄生 it's more liver and kidney. Okay, so it's not as exterior. Okay, so for 少阳 conditions, we are usually still using something again for 少阳, probably the 小柴胡汤. Things that actually release exterior, relaxes the areas, and also helps with the releasing this area, basically the digestive systems, the throat and chest, and hypochondriac. When we release these up and then the body goes this way, usually the neck and shoulders will actually relieve. Okay, so like 少阳, it's more when people do this. Okay, when we relieve that, actually the neck and shoulder are usually relieved. We can add in a little bit like gherkin and things into there. So I would say the 桑寄生, I don't see any reason why it cannot be added in, but 桑寄生 is usually more for lower lower back, and then also like legs and knees. Okay, so I wouldn't particularly using it unless, let's say, the patient has liver yang uprising, hypertension, or tension, of course, quite often. So when they get pain, they start doing this, and then we're actually nourishing the liver and kidney in. So therefore, the body actually doesn't have that rising of liver yang and also the liver wind, and then I will treat it relating to it. Okay, so this is more advanced usage. Okay, but then the if we're a more of an undernourishment of the tendon and sinews, then of course that will be a full body. However, when we're speaking of 少阳, okay, so again in this case, the 少阳 headache is probably caused by the undernourishment of the tendons and sinews and so tightness in these areas. I would say probably we would go with something with 白芍 or 当归 and things first. Okay, so basically, for example, we have our 钩藤散, we have our what are some other ones? The 乙肝散. Most of these treat more upper bodies. Okay, they rise up a little more. 桑寄生 can be used. It is in 天麻钩藤饮, right? So you may know. So for example, for lower body parts, it's 独活寄生汤. Okay, it has like 杜仲, it has 牛膝, it has like things like the 独活. That's for lower body. But we do have a formula that treats headache. So that is the 天麻钩藤饮 that actually releases the blood pressure, soothes the liver, and then it does still have 牛膝石决明 actually bringing the yang and then also the wind down, but it also has 益母草 桑寄生 and also 夜交藤茯神 calming the nerve. Okay, so I would say that you are thinking more of if it were more of like a Shaoyang condition caused by chronic neck and shoulder stiffness. That the chronic neck and shoulder stiffness, like you mentioned, is a result of undernourishment of tendons and sinews. So the 天麻钩藤饮, very, very commonly used formula for headaches and also for hypertension, is fitting to the idea that you're thinking of. And then we do have 桑寄生 in the formula. Okay, however, again, if you're purely using 桑寄生, something that is actually for the liver and kidney, it will be very slow. Okay, so basically treating the issue that is actually causing it, the hypertension and everything, will be much faster. Okay, and then also again, if it's neck and shoulder stiffness and things, I would definitely say for one, the more acute condition is for using things like geken, okay, and then also basically like 姜黄. A lot of these ones that actually softens the area, helps the person basically change their better posture. First, that's also something important, as well as for the more longer term, nourishing the yin and blood will be something that we should do. Okay, so also again, 芍药 甘草 also relaxes the muscles and sinews, so it will do a little more than just the 桑寄生. But if someone is, let's say, pregnant and then also having more of the 少阳 headache from the chronic neck and shoulder stiffness because their body, or like let's say they're still like breastfeeding their children or they're resting or things like that, 桑寄生would be a beautiful and amazing one to use, probably also as a single herb. Okay, along with we do use 桑寄生 with 续断 and also the we do use 桑寄生 with 续断 and 阿胶 and also 菟丝子. This is our 受胎丸 that actually consolidates the fetus. Okay, so that would be where 桑寄生 we can actually just cook it with people cook it with eggs, or they cook it with chicken. Okay, that's actually what something people drink as a soup very often. Okay, so restless fetus associated with yin and blood deficiencies, we would also use 桑寄生. That's one of the main specialty actually. So anticoagulant or antiplatelet drugs and also diuretics, uses with caution with them. And then Facilis genesis is a standard name. There are a few other ones that were accepted, but now we don't use them anymore. And then 桑寄生 is able to treat disorders such as hair loss, looseness of teeth, and insufficient breast milk. All of these are related to deficiency of the yin and blood of the liver and kidney. Okay, so 桑寄生 and 五加皮, that's our next herb. Both tonify the liver and the kidney to treat 痹症. They differ in that 桑寄生 also calms the restless fetus, whereas 五加皮 is a diuretic that treats edema. So 桑寄生 and 杜仲 both treat lower back pain. However, 桑寄生 dispels wind damp and tonifies blood to treat pain. 杜仲 tonifies qi and strengthens soft tissue to relieve pain. Their differences are complementary, thus they are often used as a pair. They're both in, for example, 独活寄生汤 and also does 天麻钩藤饮 have both of them? Yeah, 天麻钩藤饮 has both of them as well. They are used together very, very often. Okay. And our next one is 五加皮. Okay, so 五加皮 is acrid, bitter, and warm, and then channel-centered are kidney and liver. Okay, so very similar. Dispels wind and dampness, strengthens bones and tendons. This one is particularly useful for elderly patients who have muscle atrophy or for children who have delayed development of motor functions. Okay, so people do often use this as like it's like a herbal wine or into drinks and things like that. It's very popular among the working class in Asia. Okay, it also helps to dispel water retention, to regulate water circulation, to treat edema, and also dysuria. So because of its effect, it may have a little bit of drowsiness with sedation, especially when people make it into medicinal wine. Okay, so be very, very careful. Okay, it is, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard of using ujapi as a topical oil often. Are you aware what they use it for? I'll take a look during the break and then see what are some of the usages. But I know people use it as a tincture, sorry, not tincture, as a alcohol infusion, very, very often. That's what I have seen them very commonly used. Ujapi, it could work. Ujapi, topically. Yeah, I've seen that in them. Okay, and then the I'm not sure it's the top choice in terms of clearing bruise, but let me take a look. Thank you for the information. Yes, it's definitely part of the liver and kidney. When many of these are used in topical oils and things. Okay, but I will definitely look into it. Thank you. That's actually very interesting to hear. So there are two types of wujiapi. There's the Bei wujiapi, the north, versus the Nan, second zheng, south wujiapi. The Bei is a little more pungent, and so we call it 香加皮. The 北五加皮 has a little bit of toxicity concern. Okay, so we are much more cautious with the 北五加皮 with the chondrotonic and diuretic function. Okay, so for 北五加皮, if it were to be used, use very small dosages. 南五加皮 is probably used more commonly. Okay, so I'm going to post the next chapter. Okay, and then also I'll take a look at the Mujapi, and then so thank you all. We will come back at 11:50. Okay, sorry, 11:45. Sorry, 11:45. Right. class, welcome back. So first thing, DITA, basically DIT, just means something traumatology. Okay, so the spelling is probably correct. This is a Cantonese pronunciation. Okay, for Mandarin Chinese, we call it dieta. Okay, DIEDA. Okay, but dita, dieta, these are talking about the exact same thing. Diet means falling. Okay, da means hitting. So basically traumatic injuries. These are what happens when you are actually performing and all these things. Jiao, JIAO. Probably if it was like dita, that would be like zao, right? So but basically, jiao, JIAO, third tone means alcohol or tincture. Okay. So it's definitely possible. There are a wide variety of ingredients that can be used. Okay, and then they are mostly really good for topical use. Okay, and then the yes, so there are a wide variety of different formulations. Essentially, it has some effects on being anti-inflammatory, promoting circulation, it will be sufficient, and also being able to choose the ones that can actually be absorbed through the skin. Any of them will be good. So you will be able to find a wide variety of tinctures that are available. Okay, so in terms of stagnation, are you speaking of stagnation as in bruises? Okay, so definitely that would be a really unique one. Okay, so the speaking of which, so I just took a look. I have known the usage of actually 五加皮 being in a lot of formulations. Okay, so definitely that is one thing I'm aware that they are being used for. Okay, just as Thomas mentioning his aunt uses it. Okay, and then and however, the interesting thing is that in Chinese medicine, the mentioning of the usage for topical use, it's a little less. And then in terms of all of its modern pharmaceutical research, I'm actually finding that all of the current ones are about internal intake. Okay, so so I think this is one part that hasn't been explored enough. Like I said, if it got passed down, there must be some wisdom in there. Okay, I did find a particular usage of it. It's actually a product that is called the it's a product that is called the name of the product is called 正光. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what the name is. Okay, but there is a product that the main thing that is in there is actually the 五加皮 root bark. Okay, however, it does include many other ingredients in there that are also equally good for topical use. One is 花椒. Okay, so 花椒, the Sichuan peppercorns, is analgesic inherently. Okay, and then it also adds dingxiang, clove. Clove is also analgesic, and as well as basically inflammatory and everything. Okay, it has additional things like the 川七 and 金不换, and most essentially, it has menthol and wintergreen. Okay, so we've learned mint and also wintergreen are all anti-inflammatory and also pain alleviating. Okay, additionally, it has 陈皮、香附, 牡丹皮 in there. I would say I am not exactly sure for topical use how effective these active ingredients may be. 香附, I think yes, and also for the liver and things like that. 陈皮 topical use, I'm still thinking about it. Probably I can see how the qi regulating and everything with it. And then 地骨皮, 牡丹皮, I would think it probably wouldn't deliver through the skin so well. But these skin treat skin. I think a lot of these, if they're, I'm pretty sure that it has a good effect. That's why they maintain them in the formulations. Okay, so basically, yes, the usage of the 五加皮 definitely is something that we also see in other preparations. Okay, however, it wasn't, in terms of topical use, I'm surprised that actually there are a lot less than I was expecting. Okay, so give me one moment. Yeah, so the give me one moment. The 跌打, yeah, so muscle and bone liniment, image formula of Cyril Frank decocted let's Simon Feeney. Give me one moment. Let me see if I can find anything on it. Yeah, I'm not able to find anything particular on this specific wording. I'm just wondering um, by Simon, actually, let's do another one. Right. So I am able to find someone by the name of Dr. Simon Feeney. That's what I'm guessing. And then so I'm guessing also the other one, it's basically it's just like image of the things. Okay, so I'm not finding a ingredient list. However, when it comes to dieta, there are various different ingredient lists with different focus. Some are more from pain, some more on channels and collaterals, and then some are more on blood, and also some are more qi. Okay, so I wouldn't say that there is a particular one that will be like the best of anything available. But one thing you can also note is from the smell, because many of them are aromatic. Okay, and also the next part is the color. Purposely, we sometimes adding things like 茜草, or for example, like 紫草 and things. Some are more warming, some are more cooling. Okay, so yes, and then the choices of the things that are in there that actually makes it spread and then actually be able to be rubbed easier, all of them will be really good. Okay, so I don't expect it to be the thing with Chinese medicine formulations is that it's all about syndrome differentiation. Okay, and also apart from an ingredient list, actually, for many of these particular ointments and things like that, the the apart from the ingredient list, the processing, how you are cooking it, how you're adding them in what order and for how long, all of them will also make a huge difference. Okay, so I would say that for a passed down, handed down secret, purely an ingredient list wasn't enough to actually copy it. Okay, so however, like I said, the choices that are chosen are usually quite it's amongst a variety of things. So if you are able to maybe find, let's say, image, or does it have an ingredient list, or maybe take a photo of it if there's any pictures or things, we may be able to find a little more on them. Okay, however, again, for many of these ones, the key is not just in the ingredient list but also the processings. Okay, and also a lot of times it has to do with what additional like non-medicinal things are added into there. For example, in this case, let's say what kind of oil is being used, as well as basically again, depends on if they're including menthol and also wintergreen as a active ingredient, because in itself these two work amazingly well already. Okay, actually the other day the other day I was meeting with a high school friend whom I haven't seen for a really long time, and then actually she was interested. I took her pulse, and then she was really interested in hearing like how can we tell so much from the pulse, and then also I helped giving her some some suggestions, recommendations, and also various things, and then being a so she's a great person, and then so I think she wanted to reciprocate a little bit, so that's why she was saying how her mother actually gave her some 德国百灵油. So remember I talked about that the German China oil. Basically, that's just menthol. Okay, so yeah, she actually offered to like bring me a bottle, and then I thanked her, of course, and I told her about some of the effects, and then I mentioned to her what's the proper ways of applying it without actually damaging the qi and blood. Okay, so yeah, I think if it's a famous person or things like that, most likely it will be something that can be found, and also soon you will be able to create your own formulations, especially for something that's topical. You will be able to start working on, let's say, a particular smell, like adding on some of these together, and then try your own. I know a lot of practitioners do like forage or grow their own plants, and then actually include it into them. Those work beautifully well as well. Okay, and then use a lot of times choosing a different medium oil, and also tweaking the flavors, or maybe even adding on a little bit of Western botanicals in terms of essential oils. It create a even nicer smell. Okay, so that is really nice. um, for a herbal oil making, I don't think it will be an exam. It will be fun to do. Okay, however, there are too many things that can be done. Some of them we can actually just infuse and just like steep it. Okay, so it will be more fun than for an exam purpose. Okay, so but yeah, making it it's very simple. Actually, for a lot of things, you just infuse it into there and just keeping a jar, and then some you may heat it a little bit, some you don't need to. For example, the I know some students actually made the what's it called, the with the 色白叶. We're gonna learn it later. It's actually helpful for hair growth. Okay, so those would be good ones. Quite often, sesame oil is a good base to use if you can't decide what to do. So aromatic damp dissolving herbs. Dampness tends to accumulate in the middle jiao and obstruct the normal transforming and also transporting functions of the spleen and stomach. Symptoms: fullness and distension of the gastrium and abdomen, nausea, vomiting, poor appetite, heaviness of the extremities, loose stools, and a thick, greasy tongue coating. Acrid, bitter, warm, and dry. Many of these herbs enter and strengthen the spleen and stomach to activate qi circulation, dissolve dampness, and improve the spleen transformation and transportation activities. Most of the herbs here are aromatic, and so they contain large percentages of essential oils that evaporate easily. Okay, so therefore these should be post-decocted, added towards the end of the or at the close of the cooking to avoid loss of active components and potency from overcooking. sorry, it's a little bit of nasal discharge, and then so postnasal drip. The actually very first one is the 苍术, actually was the 栀子 and 黄白. This was actually often decocted with the 五加皮, and then these was made into a alcohol that people actually drink, and then actually treated their weakness of the limbs and also the legs and the joints. So this is 苍术. It's acrid, bitter, warm, aromatic, channel centered its spleen and stomach. Helps to dry dampness, strengthen the spleen. And so 苍术 is one of the best one to dry dampness. So we have transformed dampness, we also have drying dampness. Okay. So it's one of the best ones to dry dampness and strengthen the spleen transformation transportation function. Essentially, the essential oil can actually treat the paralysis, spasming of the intestines caused by the acetylcholine from the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, and whereas actually, if it were a prolapse or paralysis of the digestive intestinal muscles from epinephrine, adrenaline from the sympathetic nervous system, it can actually regulate that too. So it has a dual function on actually promoting the gut to do what it needs to and move properly. Okay, so this is why we have it in a wider variety of things that actually treats digestive issues that, when not properly functioning, will lead to dampness, or dampness will actually affect some of these functions. Dampness can be from improper diet, infections, any of the above. Okay, so induced respiration dispels wind dampness. It also will stimulate the central nervous system. Okay, and then both at low dosages calming, high dosages inhibiting. Okay, so it treats wind and cold, and then promotes a little bit of sweating, and also treating 痹症 and wind and dampness to relieve pain. Okay, so this is a really good one for dampness. So this is a herb mostly works through its aroma. Can we just store a whole bunch of it around our living space and benefit from it passively? Actually, this is used as a powder or something that actually used to fume spaces. People actually did use this to have a little bit of function when they were trying to ward off the evils of dampness from COVID. Okay, so but speaking of which, actually, this is a very interesting one. So I was thinking on whether to mention it or not, but I am not known to have any particular allergies to things. Okay, so in some recent years, I do have a little bit of a mild allergic reaction to, I guess, temperature change. That's when it happens a little bit, and probably something to pollen. Some type of pollen. I still haven't identified. It's not bad enough for me to have it tested out, and then also identifying which one it is doesn't help me avoiding it unless I'm moving out of Canada. So I didn't go through a test for it. Okay. Basically the so with regards to that, 苍术, I have a love-hate relationship with it. So I love using it in a lot of my formulas. I do use it very often, not just for my patients, but for myself. But as a raw herb, for some reason, my body overreacts to it. This is an herb that when growing up, whenever I smell it, it makes me feel tired. Okay, and then and also I think it exhausts qi. And then also when I was actually in herb class, when we had it in person, and at the time there was a small piece of 苍术 that we can actually pass around and smell. I remember very interestingly, I took a sniff, and then I felt something coming off my nose. I touched it, and then I got a nosebleed purely from the aroma of smelling it. And then like I of course I slept later. I had more deficiency heat when I was younger, when I wasn't sleeping early enough. and also I am a little bit more hyperactive. Okay, but I don't just get nosebleeds like that. It's not something that normally happens. Okay, so but it does stimulate and then also strongly increases the pressure and then also pop the capillaries in my nose. Okay, and also when I'm handling raw tangzhu, it makes my eyes itch and then my nose run. Okay, so it's a very unique one that my body just overreacts to it. Okay, so but in formulas, it works beautifully well. I have no problem taking it in formulas. Okay, but yes, so proving that it's strong aroma is effective. You can make a lot of times we do just make it into powder and then take it internally. Actually, some incense that people burn actually may contain tangzhu and some of these aromatic herbs. That is why actually people sometimes burn the incense, and then you will actually know that they will take the powder, and then when you go to shrines and temples, especially for digestive issues, diarrhea and things like that, they will actually pack some of the incense powder, and then people will take it home and feed it to children if they have, let's say, summer dampness, if they have dampness heat, if they have digestive issues with weakness and let's say like spleen deficiency or cold, any of these things, they will eat the xianghui. And then that, but especially if there's bleeding or things like that, it also has a astringent effect. It actually binds to a lot of the because ashes actually has stopping bleeding and also binding effect. So that actually treats a lot of digestive issues. So literally, this is what temples do in the incense, and also when people eat the powder and ashes from the incense. So you can benefit from it passively. I've heard people jokingly talking about how tangzhu is sort of like how people use sage in terms of like fuming the space. Okay. And also, it contains vitamin A and also lots of vitamin B. So if people are having night blindness from vitamin A deficiency, tangzhu is a beautiful one to use. Okay, and also the vitamin B, and then also treating, for example, we call leg qi, so basically leg atrophy. These are all the things where it's in the nutrients that are in there. But of course, those ones you don't burn. Okay, so processed tangzhu is very dry in nature and strongly dispels dampness, and then dry frying significantly reduces its drying properties and its effective in dispelling dampness, and thus generally used to bind the intestines, also stop diarrhea. Okay, and then so use tangzhu with caution for patients with insufficient heat. That was me. And then were patients who have spontaneous perspiration due to weight defensive qi level. So, and then it does work with omeprazole, and also has an effect with the anti-diabetics and also with diuretics. It's essentially a really good herb to include into basically like supplements and things, health foods. It helps to prevent dampness. So, for example, keeps the healthy weight and also a healthy immune function with the vitamin B and everything. Okay, and also vitamin A for the eyes. Yeah, so essentially quite a good one. Okay, our next one is 后坡. So this one is again another magnolia. Okay, but this one we're using the magnolia bark. Previously when we learned the 辛夷花, that one's using the flower. So it's bitter, acrid, warm, and aromatic. Channel centered our large intestine, lung, spleen, and stomach. Cool. How was foraging for 辛夷花? Did you eat them or use them or pickle them? How did it turn out? So good memory. So basically, anyways, so the if there's information, I'd love to hear about it. Yeah. All right. So again, don't risk anything. Okay, safety is always best, and then also, I mean, the process of actually identifying them, picking them, I think it's enough fun and then enough benefit in itself. Yeah. So the smell and then the taste. I mean, again, always do just a little one to start with. Okay, and particularly if you aren't having any like discomforts or anything like that, then yeah, I mean, if they're just a fun experience and memory, that would be a really great thing. Right. So no pressure, no stress. Yeah. And if you feel comfortable with eating them, then I would love to hear. I have eaten them myself. They do have a more of a ginger flavor to it. Okay, but if you're making it into tea, that ginger flavor doesn't come out as much. Okay. So it regulates qi and reduces stagnation. Okay, so stagnation of the middle jiao, active warm and dispersing hopo promotes movement of qi and reduces stagnation. So it's very good on treating a tightness and tension in the throat area. Yeah, so definitely we want the ones that are just about to bloom. Okay, that hasn't fully opened. The one that has like already opened and also under the sun for a little bit, the essential oil is much lost. So basically, the one that are just like a little bud, you don't have to purposely choose the small one. Actually, in Asia, the magnolia we see often, like we call it yulanhua, they're actually just this big, and then they are very very extremely fragrant. Okay, so there are quite a few different types. Yeah. The ones that I grew up with, they are not even colored. They are yellow, and then they're still magnolia, and then they're only from the family. But then they're only this big. But then the ones we have here are like some of the size, some are like giant ones. Okay. Yeah. So the all of them are fine. As far as I'm aware of course, do due diligence of identifying the plants if there are any like groups that are more aware of it or if they're properly labeled. But generally, I'm not particularly aware of anyone that's toxic concern with them. Okay, yeah, but definitely there are a wide variety of different species. Okay, so if possible, definitely whenever you look at anything, take pictures of the flower and also the leaves, the branches, and also the tree itself, and then definitely try to identify them. I know there are some apps that do it now, and then also basically maybe like look the ones that are actually well identified. Okay, so but yeah. Yeah, generally the for the magnolia families, it's not a big issue, but of course, just don't overdo it, right? So the regulates qi and then reduces stagnation. So this is a very neat one. It actually helps to treat something we call plumpet qi. It's actually called globus pharyngeus or globus hystericus. It's actually a nervous system reaction where it actually has a tightness in the chest, and it feels like a plumpet is actually stuck in the throat. So actually quite often happening with hysteria. Okay, we can also use this as xiongbi for like chest B with like heart pain and then chest pain and things like that. For food stagnation, we can also use it with like and also even for bowel movements. The whole pool is a very commonly used and very very good one because qi circulation and dries the dampness. Okay, so a wide variety of digestive system middle jiao treating ones. Accumulation of dampness may also cause diarrhea. So we can also pair the whole pool. The bark of the magnolia are relatively a little more expensive. Okay, however, they do amazing effects. Descends qi, dissolves phlegm, relieves wheezing. So whole pool also treats cough and wheezing when phlegm blocks the normal circulation of qi in the lung. Okay, so for example, for many of the ones for cough and things, I will also use it. So 3 to 10 grams in decoction, bitter, acrid, and warm. Processed hopeful is sometimes irritating to the throat and may cause nausea after it has been processed with shengjiang. This herb has reduced bitterness and stimulatory effects and is less likely to cause nausea and stomach discomfort. Okay, so use with caution during pregnancy and also with anticoagulant or antiplatelet drugs. It is a mild anticoagulant effect. Okay, so hopeful, tangzhu are both good for dampness. Okay, however, hopeful it's more bitter in terms of actually bringing qi downwards. So for treating like cough, like stagnation in the throat, and then whereas the tangzhu is actually more for actual dampness and also drying it. Okay, so hopeful regulates qi, whereas middle jiao and dry dampness. It is one of the most important herbs used to treat fullness and distension. It treats food stagnation, accumulated dampness, and cold and qi stagnation causing abdominal discomfort. It has been used recently for post-surgical abdominal bloating and prior to administering anesthesia for hysterectomy to prevent abdominal bloating. And the hopeful is quite strong in its qi regulating function. Some describe its positive function as breaking open the qi, therefore, when this herb is used improperly, yuan source qi can be injured. It should be used with caution for deficient patients with bloating, so it does not injure the qi. Of course, you can add in tonics into there. Okay, and then this caution does not prohibit use for patients. It is simply indicates that the dosage should be decreased and or it should be combined with qi tonics, such as Renshin or Ganzhao. Some records have shown that this herb helps to unblock the yang when used in small dosage. When used in large dosages, it breaks open qi. An antibiotic for pneumococcal, diphtheria, a wide variety of these things can be combined with the hopeful. Okay, so it works very well for a lot of lung issues. And our next one is called Huoxiang. So it is acrid, slightly warm, and aromatic. Channels entered are spleen, stomach, and lung. And this is probably one of my favorite herbs when traveling. You'll hear, some of you may have heard about the formula called 藿香正气散. I think I talked about earlier when we had the 紫苏叶, and also like for example the a lot of the other like digestive ones and the middle jiao ones. So dispels damp, releases exterior, and release summer damp. It's extremely great for it with like 苍竹, 厚朴, 半夏. And then the yes, this is in part actually the key concept of my great memory of my all you can eat particular seafood buffet. Okay, so some of my other all you can eat, if it's not so much cold and raw foods like Japanese seafood buffet, I do have a little more heat clearing ones in some of those. However, this is the one for the all you can eat Japanese or seafood buffet formula. Dispels damp, release exterior, and release summer damp. So summer damp is when cold with 藿香, 紫苏叶. Remember we learned the perilla leaves, 白芷, 大腹皮, 茯苓, 白术, 半夏, 陈皮, 厚朴, 桔梗, 甘草, 生姜, 大枣. Okay, and again, for dampness and things like that, also it's used in the 甘露消毒丹, my favorite formula for treating what's it called, hepatitis. Okay, so I actually have the idea of both of the formula into the same formula that I'm usually when I'm traveling. The 甘露消毒丹 helps to protect against again the hepatitis A and C usually, and also the 藿香正气散 for a wide variety of bacterial infections and things. These are my all you can eat formula. And also relieves nausea and vomiting. Okay, so it's very good at harmonizing the stomach and relieving nausea and vomiting from dampness and turbidity in the middle jiao. And then also topically can be used to treat fungal infection. Okay, so the 藿香 5 to 10 grams, double the dosage of the fresh form is used because that's a lot of water. 藿香 is commonly used to internally as a decoction or a tea. More topically, due to its aromatic nature, 藿香 is generally added to the decoction at the end of the cooking process to preserve its effectiveness. And then, so very often compared to 香如, that's also used for middle jiao. However, that one, it's more for dampness, and then it's a little more diaphoretic. Basically, I haven't used Shangru in I don't remember how long. Volatile oil can promote gastric secretion, so enhance digestibility, relieves gastrointestinal spasm. These are preservative and also antibacterial effect. In addition, astringent diarrhea, dilates microvascular, and also slightly diaphoretic. Okay. So our next one is Peilan. So similar, just milder. Okay, so it's acrid and neutral, aromatic. So channels entered are spleen, stomach, and lung. Okay, so the Peilan dissolves dampness and dispels summer damp, milder, and eliminates damp heat from the spleen. Okay, so this is caused by excessive intake of fatty food that leads to accumulation of heat and dampness in the spleen, sweet and greasy taste in the mouth, epigastric and abdominal fullness and distension, and then with thick, sticky saliva, with sputum with bubbles and foul breath. Okay, this is a very unique condition that we are often basically speaking of. Okay, and then the Peilan and Huoxiang are both acrid and aromatic and dispel dampness and summer dampness and awaken the spleen. These herbs are frequently used together to treat dampness accumulation in the middle jiao that manifest in nausea, vomiting, heavy sensations of the limbs, fatigue, and also possibly some exterior symptoms. Peilan has a mild exterior relieving function. It is best for retention of dampness and turbidity, manifesting in chest oppression and a sweet taste in the mouth as profuse, thick, and sticky saliva. By contrast, Huoxiang more effectively disperses dampness in the middle jiao, manifesting as nausea, vomiting, and a thick, greasy tongue coating. And the next one is 杀人. Okay, so again, many of these are very repetitive. Okay, they are used for very similar things. So the 杀人, these are many of these next herbs are all from the ginger family. Okay, so they also do very similar things. And then so acrid, warm, aromatic channel centered are spleen, stomach. Okay, so 杀人 regulates qi, dissolves dampness, strengthens the spleen. It is often used as tonic herbs to offset their possible side effects of indigestion. Okay, so a wide variety of digestive herbs formulas will all have it. Warms the middle, stops diarrhea. So it's suitable for addressing cold and damp accumulation in the middle jiao, manifesting as diarrhea. Okay, and then so the specialty. Okay, so mainly the specialty of each of them that actually makes them stand out. 杀人, it's stabilizing pregnancy. Okay, so particularly for morning sickness, 杀人 calms the fetus and stabilizes pregnancy. For usually we don't want to move qi too much or blood too much during pregnancy. 杀人 is a unique one that has shown to also help to stabilize it. 3 to 6 grams 杀人 should be added last to decoction as prolonged cooking destroys effectiveness. The fresh herb has a stronger function than the dried herb to regulate, to reduce tension, and relieve pain. Salt-fried 杀人 functions a little more effectively to descend qi, calm the fetus, and also stop frequent urination or diarrhea, thinking of it more going downward and more into the kidney. Okay, so oral ingestion sometimes for some people has shown some allergic reactions, but overall it is used for food very often. Okay, our next one is called 白豆蔻. So this is called basically white cardamom. Okay, so the also from the ginger family, has a little bit of bitter flavor to it. It's commonly found in a variety of spices. Acrid, warm, aromatic. So white linking to lung a little bit. That's probably one of the specialties, spleen and stomach. So regulates qi, dissolves dampness, and strengthens the stomach. Okay, so otherwise very similar. Usually in terms of choices of them, it's just in the flavor profile that we're looking for. Okay, we're gonna learn a few different kinds of 豆蔻. 白豆蔻 is this one. 草豆蔻 is actually the very last one we'll learn. 肉豆蔻 is nutmeg. Okay, so but many of them we haven't learned nutmeg yet, so I won't go into the 肉豆蔻 just yet. The next one is also from the ginger family. This one is called 草果. Okay, you'll actually find these a lot floating in your hot pots. Okay, so this is again acrid, warm, aromatic, spleen and stomach. Specialty of it is that it treats malaria. Okay, each of them have a different, again, flavor profile. So like this, we use to a lot of times with basically cooking pork. Okay, and our next one, it's 草豆蔻. Same thing from ginger family. This one is a little more, I guess, drying, pungent. The 白豆蔻, it's a little milder. Okay, so it's acrid, warm, aromatic, channel centered or spleen and stomach. See, very, very similar, all from ginger family. Where's the middle jiao, dry dampness? Out of the ones that we're talking about, this one is more specialty on drying dampness a little more. So you can see how we have 3 kinds of 豆蔻 here. 白豆蔻 regulates qi, so a little more lung, being white. 肉豆蔻, it's actually nutmeg. It's more binding intestine and stopping diarrhea. Okay, and then the 草豆蔻 dries dampness a little more. That's all. Actually, this is a very quick formula. Many of them are actually all used in the same, I guess, 5 spices and things. We have turmeric under blood invigorating and moving. So we have it under 郁金, 鹅竹, and also 郁金, 鹅竹, and 姜黄. So the commonly eaten turmeric is 姜黄. Okay, so it has a little more blood moving. It's not just qi moving. So that's why we'll learn it in the, I think, 12 or 13, 11 or 12 chapter. All right, so thank you all. That's everything. I will post the next chapter on. So again, not every herb or chapter will have the same amount of time that we're spending on, because many of these are actually just all found in the same packet of spices. Right? Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.